Thank you very much, Nina. It's great to be here this morning. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to today's webinar, this morning's webinar anyway, titled Navigating New Standards, focusing, emerging stronger, navigating new standards. And it's focusing on external and internal customer service strategies. So thank you for participating in today's webinar. For those who don't know me, again, my name is John Kelly. I'm the Marketing and Membership Director here at the Cape May County Chamber. And it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mary Foltz, who is the President and Chief Strategist at Service Counts. Mary specializes in developing and designing and delivering customized programs and services to organizations committed to increasing profits by enhancing their customer service performance. So we're looking forward to this great webinar. And with that, and without further ado, Mary, welcome this morning.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here amongst people like myself who just love Cape May County and have a lot of attachments and look forward to a wonderful summer there despite everything that's happening. But before we go further into the program, I want to go backwards a little bit. In 2016, we did the Serving Dreams in 2016 program, and we did a whirlwind tour, if you will, I think 13 different locations, and talked about service as we geared up for the summer season. That was actually just last week, 4 years ago. Nothing is different. We are still really aiming to create those dreams for the people that are coming into our community. We've grown tremendously even since 2016. And I think everyone on this call is not directly impacted by tourism or is indirectly impacted by tourism. So last week, Diane had a great presentation regarding the economics. I just want to briefly share some of the information that she shared. In 2019, last summer, the whole year, we actually had 10.2 million visitors coming into Cape May County, which equated to $6.9 billion. It is so significant to note that because we're in a community that relies heavily on the tourism revenue. We are now entering the busiest season that we have. We really, really need to be prepared to really take care of the individuals that are going to be coming into our community. We are forecasting, of course, less this summer, given the situation that is taking place, but that is fine. All of those individuals that are coming, we have to make sure that we're truly doing what we can to take care of them and to provide them with a great experience. Given the situation, we heard from Jeff and Diane last week, some of the marketing campaigns that they're putting out there to attract around the 300-mile radius, as well as Canada, to bring individuals into Cape May County. And one of the campaigns say, brighter days are ahead. We are ready to welcome you back to the Jersey Cape. And that's the images that they share. If you have an opportunity, maybe Nina, or if you contact the chamber, they will send you the presentation. But when we say that we are ready to welcome you back to the Jersey Cape, that is really true, but it's an implicit promise that we are truly ready. And this is a very unique situation that we're in, that we really truly need to be ready to embrace the people that are coming in to visit us. So as we move into the program, the agenda items that we have today, we're going to talk about customer experience leaders and laggards. We're going to discuss how businesses need to adapt to the situation, and that's going to be very unique based on your business. We're really going to focus also on the employee experience, which is such a critical component of creating that great experience for the customers. And then, of course, talking about the customer experience. So let's go here. And I'm going to actually have Nina put up the poll. One quick yes or no in terms of the feedback. Does your business currently have a formal customer survey feedback program? If you could enter a yes or a no. So far, yes.
Yep, looks like the votes are coming in, Mary. I'm going to give maybe another 10-15 seconds for people to go ahead and click yes or no, and then I'll be able to share the results with everyone.
Perfect.
Okay, looks like we're up to about 70% of our participants have voted. That might be what we're going to end up with today. So I'll go ahead and end the poll.
Showed 63%, so yes, which is fantastic. And the reason why I ask this is to, we have to have a measurement of how we're doing. We have to get the feedback from our customers how we are actually doing. And what I want to show you now is some interesting studies. We're in a unique time economically, and I wanted to share some relevant information regarding a similar situation. And look back in 2008, we had the Great Recession. And this is a study from the 2010 Watermark Consulting Group. And if you'll see, this is where we were before in 2007, 2008, and 2009. Look at the blue lines here, the customer experience leaders. Through all of this, they lead all the different organizations, which are from the S&P index and the customer experience laggards. Why this is relevant. You're going to see that customer experience, how we are intentional, how we are creating our systems and building strategies around true customer experience, that it creates a more resilient organization. You will rebound faster if you focus on your customer service and the performance. So you could see 2008 was when the actual recession took place. Yes, there was a dip, but it did not dip as significantly in those that were not the laggards as well as the S&P index. And you can see a huge rebound with these organizations as well. So I just wanted to share that we will rebound. Cape May County is going to be significant for years to come. We may have a different summer, but the summer, the expectations are still going to be high. The standards are still going to be high. The expectations are going to be high. And if we focus on how we're delivering that experience, it will rebound and we will have a successful summer and even a more successful 2021. And I just wanted to parlay this. I pulled this from the 2010 visitnewjersey.org, their forecast, and it shows the same situation we had. This is the effects of the recession at that point in time. It kind of happened into 2009. But you see, we definitely had a dip in visitor stays, and then it rebounded. So we may not have as many overnight stays. We may have more day trips this summer, and that's okay. We're going to take advantage of every opportunity that we can to have them feel good about coming to Cape May and build and continue on that reputation. To go a little bit further, that same organization, the Watermark Consulting, did this over a course of 11 years. From 2007 through 2017, you're going to see significantly how those individuals, those organizations that really have the standards, they train, they have the experience down, it's intentional, it's part of their 5-year plan, it's part of their vision, it's part of their organization culture. Those individuals have a much greater return than those individuals that do not focus on customer service. So there really is a bottom line impact when we focus on our customer experience. So the results of this study, covering over a decade of data, indicate that over the long term, a great customer experience helps build business value while a poor customer experience erodes it. We're in a position where a lot of our businesses have been closed since March. Now we're in the middle of May. We cannot afford to open up our doors and not provide an amazing experience. We cannot afford to have our customers defect on us because we did not prepare our staff or our organization to best serve them. And what do customer experience leading firms do differently? Well, they aim for more than just satisfied. If those organizations that do surveys and you say, oh, okay, I got an 80%, that's doing good. You need to work on doing more because there's 20% that are saying that you're not good enough. So really, really, if you are having surveys, really analyze the surveys and the responses that you're getting. For those organizations that don't, I encourage you to truly find a way to measure the satisfaction of your customers. And I know you might be in an organization that it's a very brief interaction. How do you measure that? But find some way, whether by asking, having a number, looking at if you have social media, looking at the responses on social media. It's a critical time that we really need to understand how our people, our customers are evaluating us. What else do? They nail the basics and they deliver pleasant surprises. It's when you know what the basics are, like every single time to some extent, it's flawless. The greeting on the phone, the greeting upon arrival, all of those different things, they do it consistently every single time. And then occasionally they deliver a pleasant surprise, which is a wonderful thing. That's that +1, that small little thing that can actually make a huge difference. They understand that great experiences are intentional. It was orchestrated. It was designed to happen that way. We took the time, we invested time to train, to execute the delivery, and it's emotional. We're tapping into someone's feelings. And if you think about it from the 5 different senses, that's going to really help you understand and appreciate how to go about doing and delivering and setting up your operation. They shape customer impressions through cognitive science. This is very, very significant, even more so now when we're in a public health crisis, when people have been sitting home and are really, really craving, most people are at least, craving the interaction. When we're now entering out, they need to know that we're really tapping into understanding the psychology and what they're appreciating when they come into your organization. So really being very mindful of the situation, how we're taking care of our guests during this interesting time. And they truly recognize the link between the customer and the employee experience, which is so very important. That's why we're going to spend some time talking about the employee experience as well. So these are the 5 bullet points that true customer experience leading firms do differently than those that we would identify as customer laggards. Okay, so in the business adaptation, we're at a time where, 2020, we started out great. Even for my own business, it was a really great year. I had so many things happening wonderful in the forecast. And then we find ourselves in the beginning of March, completely derailed. And the good thing about that, and if I have to look at a good thing, is that we're all in the same situation together to some extent. This isn't just one business. This is the entire community. This is the world here. So we just need to recognize that we're not in this alone, but we need to be moving forward together. And how do we adapt our business to adjust to the current situation? I found a poll, though, through Monster.com. In this situation, 80% of employees are concerned about productivity and business success due to coronavirus. That's so true. You are not alone. We are all concerned about what's going to happen. And I think that's justifiable. And you need to take that concern and what do we do with it? What are we putting our energies into to continue to make it through this the best way possible? And there's just some bullet points here. What can you do and what should you do? In reference, every day I'm seeing different information coming in regarding compliance and the guidelines, whether it be from the CDC, there's information from the Restaurant Association. I was going to go out here, but if you the KB County Chamber has a great website to go to that lists all of the different information, the regulations and guidelines. I encourage you to go if you have any questions and to keep up on the daily things that may or may not change. Reference the CapeMayCountyChamber.com and you'll find all the different ways that you can actually measure and adhere to the standards. We need to think about how do we need to identify or how or if we need to modify our business. And an example of that we can all relate to is the restaurants being closed, but they're now allowed to do the takeout ordering. That was a huge save for those businesses. And they've been able to modify and do that well. In the grocery stores, the one that I go to, you have to go in the same, and you have to all go in one way and then come out another way. These little things, but you have to be thankful and mindful of how we need to modify your business so that we can be successful, that we can kind of move forward together. Developing a strategic plan. You may have had one at the beginning of 2020. Maybe it still works. Maybe in March you realized this is different. I need to do something. My business, as I had thought I was going to be able to do through summer and operate, I can't do that anymore. So what is the new plan? What is the interim plan? And what does that look like? And if you're in an area where your business is closed and you're not having your employees side by side and your team with you, this is an opportunity to, even whether it be Zoom, informal, but just having those discussions, what should we be doing to make it as successful as we get through this period of time? this is a period of time to get prepared. If you are closed, what are we doing to get ourselves ready and to be opened up successfully? Are we having to modify the inventory? Do we have the inventory that we need to open up? Are we being truly aware of the level of inventory that we need? Do we have the supplies, the equipment, and the staffing? If we're modifying our plan, what does that all look like? And that takes some real thinking about that and going through the process. Thinking about your connections. Who in the community can we reach out to and form a partnership? And we'll talk about that later. Who would then even LinkedIn? And I keep referring to the chamber maybe a month ago, did a program on LinkedIn. It was phenomenal. Find that in the YouTube page for the Cape May County Chamber. Really valuable information regarding LinkedIn. Tap into your chamber membership. Look at the website. Tapping into your associations that are relevant to your organization. And really, if you're closed and we're preparing to open, how can I build my connections and work on that while we're preparing? There's so many organizations that have offered free education and or free certification through this process. The Florida Atlantic University did one, and I received their certification, the American Hotel Lodging Association. So think of your organization, think of the field, and think of some opportunities that you could go through yourself and invite your team able to do that as well. And thinking about retention. And what I mean by that is you have had your customers up through until, obviously, we had to close our doors. If you had to close your doors, what are we doing to maintain that relationship during the period of time that we're not open, that we're not serving them in a way that we typically have been? An example of that, when I was looking through, even the First National Bank of Elmer, they're offering deferred payments during this difficult time. Those types of opportunities that show that we care, that have that empathy component is really going to be successful in terms of the retention, because how we treat and how we're working with our organization now and how we treat our customers is going to be very significant as the loyalty factor, and we continue on. The reputation, how you are dealing with this crisis is very significant, how your reputation is going to be maintained. And that's twofold, how you are as a business and how you are as an employer. And we're going to explore that a little bit further. But there's a business in my community that on different Facebook pages has been on a rant with all the disagreement that they have with what the government has chosen to do. Completely, that's their right to have that opinion. But the unfortunate thing is they did it through their business and was very significant. And I know a number of people that have said that they will not do business with that individual, their organization, because of how they have verbally chosen to feel about the situation. So just be cautious of all of those capacities. I wanted to share with you what some of the organizations are doing as we had to adapt. We have the Cape May County Zoo, the Park and Zoo, a wonderful organization. Love going there. Schools go there all the time. It's a great place to go. Well, they had to adapt like everyone else. But what they did is they did a zoo school. And every day, and the last I saw, they did like 38 days consecutive of zoo school, which was a great opportunity for all the school children who couldn't go into their school themselves nor go on their field trip to the park, but really educated the listeners and the viewers on the zoo, and they did a wonderful job. They're doing birthday shout outs, literally getting a dry erase board and writing the names of the individuals to shout out for their birthday. So really continuing the engagement through the process. And this video, or pardon me, the pictures here show a best quarantine hair competition, which again, it's creating engagement through their Facebook page to keep people aware of what's happening at the zoo. Just a great way they had to adapt their business. They don't have visitors on site, but they're doing these things, and they're also asking for donations during the same time. So a great way for them to adapt their business. Naughty Spirits Distillery, right in Cape May. They normally produce vodka, gin, and rum. They have the mechanisms to do that. They saw an opportunity, and to be relevant and to support the community, they then produced hand sanitizer, which was a huge need for the community, and they stepped up and they did it very, very well. So in addition to getting the spirits, you can now get the hand sanitizer, which is a great way to pivot the business and support the community. Harry's Ocean Bar and Grill in Cape May, very popular for their crush kits, and so they now are distributing them personal crush kits you can pick up. You can take it with you curbside. They have a tent set up, and then they're donating 10% of the proceeds to the Cape May County Community Food Bank, as well as the Cape Regional COVID Fund. And then they're offering also 15% off of their food for healthcare workers. So a great way to continue offering business, making some revenue, while also being a good community support. Here's another organization. This is in Marshall, New Jersey, but this is a title company. This is a professional organization that realized that they needed to do something differently. And what does that look like? Well, they're going to do drive-through closings. They had to go through the process of determining the tents. They had to have iPads. They had to make sure that the systems were relevant, come rain, shine. So it really wasn't something like one day, let's just try it. There was a strategic plan, put this in place to execute it, to serve the customer so they can move forward with the different closings through the title agency. So very, very important that they did this opportunity. And then think about when you're doing your business adaptation, who could I possibly partner with? What organization, which I may not have thought of before, but maybe it makes sense for us to partner now. And I share this image on the right. This is from another community. But this is 7 different agribusinesses that got together, and on a regular basis, they're offering these kits. They have a creamery that's doing the milk, they have a produce, they have someone supplying the bacon, all these different organizations. They realized that together they were better versus individually. And if you think about it, even from that cognitive science, that psychology, where people are not wanting to go out and shop, I now can have one package that I pick up that actually helps serve a number of different things versus going to a variety of different stores. So just being aware of and thinking creatively, how can you support a partner with another business? And even in that component, if it isn't that you're offering a kit, but even from a purchasing power, if it's the PPE or different inventory, if you can partner together and have an order that you can benefit from together, that might be another way. It would help you leverage marketing too. And when you're thinking about different things that are happening, think of some of the best practices that you've seen. What have you seen in or participated in, even as a consumer, that worked out well? How could I adapt that and make it unique for my organization? And really just thinking, would a partnership add value to the customer? We're in a situation where we're going to have a different level of visitors coming to our community. How do we maximize that experience? So these are just some examples of organizations that have adapted very well. What could you do? What do you need to do? And maybe you already have done it, which is fantastic. But this is definitely a time of being creative, and definitely a time of thinking outside the box of, January 1st, 2020, you might have had a vision in mind. Here we are, May 28th. What does that look like? What is June going to look like? What is July going to look like? And how does it continue evolving? But throughout this whole process, I want you to do 2 things after we have the session today. I want you to literally on a piece of paper, write on one side things I can't control, and on the other side things I can control. And be specific about you as an individual. Think about it if you're the leader of your organization and or whatever your role is within the organization. Think about the things, really identify the things that I can't control. I'm going to list some things here that are general, but they're true. We can't control the virus. It's an unfortunate situation. It's a pandemic. It is going to do the course of which it's going to take. We can't control it. We can offer some influence of how we go about, but we can't control. We can't control what the government is going to regulate. We can't control the regulations. And as we saw from this weekend with Memorial Day, we can't control the weather. Those are things we just can't control. What we can control individually, you control your attitude. You control how you're thinking about how you're going to do it. You can control your emotions about it. You can control the energy and where you're putting your energy, because this is a stressful time for everybody. Preserve your energy and put it towards the things that we can control and towards the improvement of your own health, the improvement of your organization. We can control our emotions through this process as well, making sure that we're healthy in that regard. We control our responses to situations. We control the preparedness of our business to get it ready when we are reopening our doors, or as we keep modifying it as we inch closer to having a regular business operation. And we can control our priorities, and you can control your plan of action. So those are generic, but I want you to really think about that in your own situation, what you can and you can't control, and focus your energies then on the areas that you can control. And you're going to find more momentum, and you're going to find yourself more adaptable in that area that what you can control. Another good activity for your team to do, and it doesn't have to be formal. It can be somewhat casual. It can be just a phone conversation. If you're not together, you can have someone have a flip chart paper, but do a mini SWOT analysis, if you will, of the current situation. And I have it, the SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the strengths and weaknesses are thinking about yourself in the organization internally. And when we have a positive element that is under your control, and through planning, you could use it to create competitive advantage. What does that look like for you? For some organizations, and I'll refer back to the restaurants with the takeout, they've been able to execute that very, very well. And I know in Atlantic County, there's a Facebook page that the chamber did that has 17,000 people on that page. And it's been wonderful. In the Cape May County, the chamber, you guys did the same thing, and you have like 9.8 thousand people on that page. That was huge. That was an opportunity, and that really helped, I think, a number of restaurants that would never have probably survived to some extent, but their takeout system has proven to be wonderful. So really identify, what are the strengths? What can you use to create this competitive advantage? What can we really focus on? And at the same time, identify something that might be a negative element that is under your control, but through planning, you can actually stop to avoid the goal derailment. What can we do to prevent some of the negative things that could possibly come our way? That's going to really take some brainstorming, some thinking, and being proactive. But you need to identify those so that you can plan accordingly. And opportunities. What is a positive condition that is out of your control, but through planning you could actually benefit from? And maybe there's a lot of programs coming through regarding the CARES program, the payroll protection program, the stimulus. Maybe there's an opportunity in that regard. Maybe it's an opportunity, even a partnership. And then under threats, what is a negative condition that is out of your control, but through planning you could actually defend against it to reduce the impact? And that may look like a number of different things for a number of different organizations, but really understanding and identifying these things so that you have a proactive approach to how we need to modify. I've heard a lot of people say the word pivot through this conversation. So it leads me to even, think about the Stockdale Paradox. And for those that may or not be familiar with the Stockdale Paradox, there's a gentleman by the name of Jim Stockdale, I believe his name, and he was a prisoner of war. And through that process, he was able to identify that retain faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties. And let's be honest, we're in a very difficult situation, but we can prevail. And at the same time, while you're understanding that you have faith in the situation, you need to be brutally honest with the fact that this is a difficult time. So it's called realistic optimism as well. We have to have faith that we're going to get through summer 2020, that we're going to be successful, that we're going to take care of our employees, that we're going to take care of our customers, that we're going to preserve our business, and that through 2021 and on the future, we're going to completely rebound. But we have to recognize that this will be a difficult summer. It will be a different summer that we haven't had before, but it can still be a great summer. It can still be a summer that we talk about and look back on fondly because of how well we adapted, how well we embraced the challenge that is in front of us. So consider all of those things. Those are just so important. If anyone has any questions, John, let me know if we need to stop or interact at any time. So moving on to the employee experience. This is so critical. I don't know if we can underline enough how critical the employee experience is. And I know a number of individuals participating, you either have seasonal employees or you're an organization that operates fully year round. Doesn't matter. The employee experience is so critical in this period of time. If you have a strategic plan, the people that are mostly executing that strategic plan are your frontline or your customer facing employees. You have to be very communicative with them, and we have to really embrace them in this whole situation. And in another Monster.com poll, 81% of workers are concerned about their job security in light of the coronavirus. That's huge. I think we can all share some of that concern. And so when we have those concerns, we need to be really aware of how we're communicating with our team. And then this is also significant. 48% of workers don't think that their bosses are being supportive during this coronavirus. What does that look like? How are your interactions looking? What are you communicating to your staff? If you had to lay them off, is there any communications thereafter? If they're furloughed, how are we continuing the engagement, and how are you preparing to bring individuals back into your organization? There was also this special report that the Edelman Trust did regarding trust in coronavirus. 78% of businesses have a responsibility to ensure, the respondents said that yes, 78% of people believe that businesses have a responsibility to ensure their employees are protected from the virus in the workplace and do not spread the virus into the community. So 78% of people agree that yes, they have that responsibility. So that's huge. 63% responded positively that I would like my employer to share information about the coronavirus at least daily. You need to figure out what that looks like for you. But this is a challenging time, and you need to keep your employees fully informed of what's actually taken place. And when we think about this, I love the author John DeJulius, but he put out an article recently, be the best decision your employees have ever made. Think about that. Whether you are hiring someone just for the summer, or if it's their full-time employment 12 months a year, how you interact with them, how you provide them an environment, they have to make it that it's the best decision that they have ever made is to work for your establishment. And what does that look like? What can we do for them? Well, if you are closed, and some of these, regardless if you're closed or you're open, really keeping them informed and updated as to what is going on. Email, if you have a group text, if you have a Facebook page, if you have some sort of specific communication channel, make sure that it's being updated, that it's accurate, and that it's constant, that we're constantly communicating. And this is, again, even if you're open currently, but be transparent. If you have a new policy coming on, let them know about that policy. Keep them informed. Be empathetic with their situation. They now have children home that they have to make sure that they're getting their schooling properly, and maybe their spouse is working in an environment where they could be exposed. Provide support where it's needed. Access to resources. If you did have to lay off your employees, hopefully we gave them guidance on where to collect the unemployment and so on and so forth. And offer a legitimate sense of security. Don't overpromise, but let them know that your goal is to not have to lay off people. Our goal is to continue our business through the summer. Our goal is to do this. Be very upfront. Communication is so very important in the employee experience. They're the ones that are frontline, and we have to get them prepared. So when you're ready to open your doors again, or if you're back to full operation, really the employees have to be prepared. They have to be trained on the new standards, and even those standards of how to wear PPE, how to properly sanitize, how to navigate all of those different things that are new, that we have to be fully apparent that is actually taking place. You need to be prepared that when you open, in order to adhere to the guidelines, that you provide necessary equipment so that they can do their work in a safe way and adhere to the guidelines. And in that situation, not everyone is used to wearing a facial mask during their operation. Allow for different breaks for that, to give them an opportunity to take a break in that. I would even say, if you're able to, customize the facial mask to your organization, or to make it something that is happy and enlightening. Because when now we're interacting with our guests face to face, but we have a mask covering our face, what does that even look like? How do we continue to that level of engagement that we're communicating to our guests in a positive way, but now we're removing some of those facial expressions, which are so significant in terms of the service interaction? We may need to accommodate schedules. I know currently organizations are rotating who comes into the office on certain days and who they're either working every 2 weeks or they're working every other day, so that there's not as many people in the office. Do we need to accommodate schedules because the children are home and the parents need to accommodate for that? So just be very aware and open and have the conversation with your individuals that you have working for you. Be clear on expectations. Be very observant in terms of the interaction that you're seeing with the individuals and your customers coming through, and always truly remain positive. And I even want to say that I would advise, because this is an interesting and unique time, that we need to celebrate at the end of the summer season. If you're an organization that is seasonal, look at the calendar, make sure that you have a date ready to go that you can celebrate with your team, to thank them for getting the team through the summer. If you're an organization that's 12-month, maybe at the end of the year, really allowing for a celebration of what we went through and to celebrate the successes that we have had. So orientation is so important in this regard. If you don't currently have an orientation, do something. We don't want to have someone just coming in and setting them up for failure. You need to make sure that we're getting your team ready to truly embrace the customers coming in, the demographics coming in, their high expectations. There may be less of them, but they still have the same level of trust, and they want to have a great experience while they're here. So be prepared. An example I can share, a couple years ago, I went into a hotel property in Cape May County, and they chose at that point in time to have a J1 visa student, she was wonderful, but they put her at the front desk. She did not have an orientation. So from a service standpoint, if you have someone that is very unfamiliar with the area, they're not able to make recommendations, to offer direction. So just be very aware of who you have on your team and their best way to serve the customers and set them up for success. Have an orientation, have some sort of plan that when you open up your doors, everyone is on the same page, everyone is aware of who's coming in and how to best serve them. So customer experience. I think we have a brief survey here, or brief poll. Nina, if you want to go ahead and put that up.
Yep, coming right up. There we go. So if everybody could click their answer to this question on the screen.
Your business using social media.
Okay, we'll just give it maybe 10 more seconds. Okay, looks like our
vast majority. Good. Great. So 96% said that they are using social media, which is wonderful, because if you think about it, so many people are just home and this is their one way to communicate and see what actually is going on out there. And there's organizations that are doing so well with their social media. I already mentioned the 2 different Facebook groups for Atlantic County and Cape May County, 17,000 Atlantic County, 9.8 thousand in Cape May County. But I wanted to share Jesse Creek Winery. I think they were signed up for today's session. I went onto their page. They do such a great job with their social media. They have a dog, Ellie, and they market through Ellie as we're navigating through this different time where they wish they had people coming to the winery, but they're doing virtual wine pairings. So really looking out there and seeing what other organizations are doing, but constantly being a presence, whether you're opened or closed. Keep communicating through all of your social media outlets, because your customers are looking, especially now when people are gearing up, ready to come into the community. They're looking to see who's open. They're looking to see what's happening. And if you do have social media pages, be very, very specific about your hours. Make sure that your hours of operation are accurate on the system, because I myself have gone into some and that's not updated. So find every way that you can to update everything, but utilize social media, videos, images to really communicate what's happening in your group, in your organization. Here is, I don't know if you've heard of the organization ShopCook, but they recently did a survey of 25,000 consumers, and this is about behaviors, and this is so relevant as we move forward into this summer. 60% of consumers say that they're worried about shopping in store. We understand and we appreciate that. That's why so many organizations have gone to online shopping, we're delivering, we're utilizing different sources. So just being aware of all of those things. How can we build consumer confidence so that they're no longer worried? And I think that's going to evolve as we go out every month throughout the summer. This number might change, but initially this is important to recognize. 76% of consumers are adjusting their shopping habits due to concerns about coronavirus. What that means is they're either shopping more efficiently, they're shopping online, they're finding different ways to get the items that they need, but they're adjusting that. And 72% of consumers are visiting stores less. Now, I know every organization that is on this call is not retail and is not related to shopping, and that's understandable. But what this shows you, those same behaviors, as we're worried about different things, as we're shopping less, how do we understand those behaviors and how do we modify our business to take care of them, and how do we understand and appreciate that? So if I am worried about shopping, what can I do as a retail store to make them less worried about the experience? And it's going to be some very obvious ways that we're sanitizing, that we're welcoming them. An example I can share, Geis's Market in Rio Grande. They do a great job. There constantly is someone in their store wiping down and sanitizing shelves. It's that visual representation that they're doing what they can to keep everyone safe. So all of those different components to be thinking about. So the customer experience, while you're closed, you need to keep communicating. Use those social media channels to truly communicate. If you have newsletters, communicate through newsletters. Let them know what's happening. Let them keep it upbeat. You now have an opportunity to update your CRM models. You have now an opportunity to refresh and to focus on what that looked like, to build your newsletter if you don't have a newsletter, to get email addresses and to put it in there. Start your own campaign and engage new markets. Maybe if we're finding a partnership with an organization that we didn't have before, we're tapping into a different market that we hadn't considered. What does that look like? Get to know the market, get to know the preferences, and look at some best practices. An important component is identifying your customer touch points. And then once you identify your customer touch points, then look for your moments of truth. And I'll explain that in a moment. But when you are open, you need to nail those moments of truth, those basics that we talked about previously with the customer experience leaders. We need to nail them. We need to be very, very proficient, which is why you need to make sure your employees are trained properly with an onboarding and ongoing training. We need to personalize the experience as much as we possibly can. And that can be as simple as even a takeout order, writing a cute message on the container or on the bag. Something simple. I'm not talking about rolling out the red carpet, just something simple, personalize the situation. Be consistent. Be what they expected last time. Keep that bar, that level high, and always maintain that without being scripted. Listen to what the customers are saying. Again, back to surveys, asking them, getting some sort of feedback. Are you literally in your operation? Are you hearing what is being said? Are you listening to conversations and interactions between your staff and the customers? All of that. And keep them informed of any changes, whether it be we're modifying their hours as you introduce yourself back into the market if you've been closed. What are the changes? What are the hours of operation? How do we do that? And really focusing on how to build that consumer confidence. Going back to that cognitive science and the expectations and understanding the shifting in the consumer behavior. How do we build that confidence? I have a friend from Pennsylvania. He shared that he's going to be coming to Strathmere over the summer to stay at his aunt's house for a week, but he wants to bring all his groceries and just stay at the house or go to the beach. But if the community is doing such a good job and building consumer confidence, and they see and they're hearing and they're seeing on social media, I think that he's going to feel more confident to go out into the community and to frequent the stores and to do the business, and go out to dinner and to order to different things. So it's a day by day, but we have to be very aware of how we're doing it. And when I talked about customer touch points, what I literally mean is getting flip chart paper, getting post-it notes, and really identifying if you have a new strategic plan, if we're going to have a new way that people enter and exit your establishment, we're really outlining it and identifying each point of contact and making that point of contact the best that it could possibly be. And then you start narrowing down, and then you get the materials that you need to have it, and that will help your training too. And an example I can give is regarding a restaurant experience. Typically, there's about 170 touch points through a restaurant experience, a full service restaurant experience. If you narrow it down, there's 4 moments of truth. And that would be great food, great service, reasonable price, and super clean. You need to get, if I'm a restaurant owner, I need to make sure that this is where I'm nailing this is where it's got to be so good every single time. Food is being produced, it's consistent, it's great, it's hot. Service is impeccable. They're personalizing the situation, my name. They're personalizing the experience. They are on top of it. They're seeing what I need to have. If I'm takeout, they know, or if I'm in service, sitting down in the restaurant, they see what needs to be done. It's a reasonable price, and it's super clean. Those are what you need to focus on. So in your organization, take the time to really identify what those touch points are, focus on them, master them, execute them well, and that's going to create that good customer experience leader, which will help us be resilient as we move through this period of time. Now, when we talk about the value equation, this is just a simple equation just to kind of put a mindset to it. People are going to determine the value of their experience on this equation. They're going to determine it on the level of quality that I provided. Is it a quality product, a quality experience, like going into your operation? Is it clean? Is it sanitized? And the service, the interactions I'm having with everyone in that experience. And then you divide that, if you will, by the price or the cost of the product or the cost of the service. When one of the 3 is out of whack, the value diminishes. And when value diminishes, my loyalty to you is not going to be as strong. And we're in a position where we need to make sure that we're maintaining every interaction is as positive, so that I will have a return visit and a return customer coming into the future seasons as we're navigating through. So just to recap, there is a huge resiliency and value added for customer experience leaders. We need to adapt our businesses to ways that will actually assist our customers in doing business. We have to really pay attention to our employees, set them up for success, communicate, really give them the tools that they need. And then the customers, we really need to make sure that we're really appreciating those that come through our doors. 2019, we had 10.2 million visitors. That's 10.2 million opportunities that we could have had to impress them. What does it look like now? Might be a little bit less, but this is such a critical time. Every time that there is a customer in front of you, that interaction needs to be positive, and the interaction needs to be graceful and respectful, and we will get through this together. There's no question that Cape May County is going to rebound, and it's going to be emerging stronger through this as a community and as individual businesses. But it's going to have its challenges. And I think once we embrace those challenges, it's going to be good, and we're going to learn from those. And maybe there's a lot of business operations that are going to continue on with the offering the crush kits and the different things that we're seeing our organizations do. So thank you. I think that, we're here May 28th. I would love to think that it's September 28th, we're all sitting back and thinking, we got through this, we did it very well. And we're looking forward to the remainder of the year and what the next year has to come. So let me just look at my time. We have time for some questions, if there are any.
Well, Mary, I had a thought and a question to get things started, and remind people that they can raise their hand or put a question in the chat. But I would preface by just reminding everyone and encourage everyone to give Mary Foltz at Service Counts a like on Facebook so they can follow what, customer service tips you're putting out, or connect with you on LinkedIn for sure. But my question is, can you point to any resources for, strategic planning or just inspiration on customer service, whether it's a book or a blog or something? I'm a reader, and I love to keep up on things. Is there anything out there that you would recommend to the participants today to check out?
Sure. There's two authors that come to mind, and I see Christina's here. Her and we have a favorite author. Jeff Hyken is so fantastic. He'd be a great person. He has webinars going out onto YouTube and even YouTubing his name. I have some of his books on my shelves. If anyone wants to email me specific, I can give you a whole specific list of actual book titles. I'm not going to remember it right at the moment. Currently, the Forbes Travel Guide is doing weekly seminars, complimentary, 1 hour. It is hospitality industry, but I'll tell you what, there's so many principles from there that any organization can take and to learn from. And in fact, they're every Thursday at noon, so there'll be one today, but they archive their previous sections as well. And I believe it's Forbes Travel Guide / Hospitality Strong. Strategic planning, I would do some Googling, and there's a lot of different models, but you have to find the model that would work best for you. And anyone, if you wish, email me at mary@yourservicecounts.com, and I can provide some specific guidance in that regard. But it's a process, and it's a valuable process. We have to operate in a plan versus just trying to wing it and hope it goes well. We have to be realistic about how we're going to move forward in that regard.
Thank you, Mary.
Hey, John and Mary, if it's okay, I think I'll jump in. I saw a nice comment in the chat that maybe I could share for some further discussion from Robert Tacklin, who was responding during the presentation, Mary. And Robert said, there's a huge opportunity for businesses now because there are so many people that see Cape May County as their oasis away from real life. This is going to be key in maximizing throughout the season. If there was ever a time to advertise, it would be now. Build anticipation, and when they come in, deliver the best experience you can. So I thought that went along with what you were saying nicely, Mary.
Absolutely. It's such a huge opportunity when people are really striving. And he's correct. Cape May County is a huge, wonderful oasis. It's always going to exist. What we do, though, in this period of, and I don't like using the word crisis, but if some people are referring to that, it really is going to affirm their decision to continue the tradition of coming to Cape May County. Yep. And as John said, please, I would love to connect on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a wonderful resource of information. And as I mentioned before, go into the Cape May County's YouTube channel to pull up that previous presentation on LinkedIn. There are so many tools within LinkedIn to take advantage of. That's free. But I don't remember the woman's name, but she did such a wonderful job executing that webinar. Very
Brent Tillman, yes,
yeah.
Brent Tillman from Social Sales Link, absolutely. You speak of tools, Mary, and it occurred to me when you were talking about the products and services businesses need to, give great customer service and experience to their employees and their customers. I'll just remind everyone that the Chamber has a vast, varied, diverse membership and can offer the products and services that any business needs to employ these tactics and ideas. So I encourage them maybe to search the member directory on CapeMayCountyChamber.com to look for some of the best in the business at providing these types of services and products, whether it's strategic planning, like someone like yourself, or even cleaning products or marketing opportunities and the like. You'll find it there. Would also mention to people that if you have come across a great story similar maybe to the ones that you shared in the beginning of the presentation, people doing interesting and uplifting things in the community during this time. We have a Cheers Cape May County page where we're highlighting some of those things, and people can submit things that they come across and feel that are worthy of recognition. The Chamber can get the word out. And then finally, the Chamber does have, numerous ways to market and communicate with local business potential customers, or the visitor out in the tourism marketplace. So we encourage everyone to, kind of keep in touch with the Chamber, member or non-member. We're here to help. It's not a cliche that there's never been a more important time to be a member of the Chamber, and we're willing to work with everyone to get you on board with the Chamber. So we encourage you to reach out. I'm always available, John at cmcchamber.com, or call the office 465-7181. And then finally, for anyone looking for upcoming webinars or virtual events, CapeMayCountyChamber.com/events. We'll list all those for you, and just really thank everyone for attending. And the Chamber's here to help in any way, so don't be shy about reaching out, and we look forward to seeing everyone again on Zoom as soon as possible. And I know I look forward to seeing everyone in person again as soon as possible. So with that, I guess we'll wrap up. Thank you so much, Nina Rinaldi. Thank you so much, Mary Foltz, and we'll see everybody next time.
Great. Thank you.